The Philadelphia Eagles are your Super Bowl champions. The 2025 Super Bowl is no longer in possession of a three-peat. Everyone was saying, Kansas City Chiefs, three-peat. It's a guarantee. The refs are going to do their best. Well, it looked like they were going to try on that first series. It did not happen. The refs definitely were not in their favor, and
possibly against them.
We saw what happened with the Chiefs when they weren't getting every call. This team was dominated at the line of scrimmage the entire night by the Eagles, and it showed in the scoreboard. The final score, 40-22, Philadelphia Eagles, your 2025 Super Bowl champions. Yeah. Ryan, you were saying, you're on Mahomes. I know we're going to talk about Mahomes specifically in a separate episode. You were all over this Chiefs team.
Always.
What did you see in that blowout that you maybe didn't foresee before the game?
No, I think it was just, this is the first game where they've actually not been able to be like, do whatever they want and be able to bounce back from any scenario. Every game for the last 3 years has been, hey, like, we're going to go out there. Whatever doesn't work on our plan A is going to work on our plan B because we have the best coach and the best player. It didn't matter what the best coach or the best player dialed up, in my opinion, because the lines of the Eagles, the offensive and defensive line, it was unbelievable.
Domination.
It was just perfect domination. So, like, I don't think anything. It was just bad preparation and
by the Chiefs.
By the Chiefs, and Chiefs being I think they tried to pull too much out of this offensive and defensive line for so long, and they got away with it for so many years by winning. But now it came to a point where the roster was so good on the other side, where it finally like bled through, and there was nothing to do to come back from it. I mean, it was a sad day. I haven't seen this.
Well,
yeah. For 90% of the world, it was a happy day.
Very happy day. Philadelphia was rocking.
But yeah, good. Hey, good for Philly. Shout out Jalen Hurts. You deserve it.
Beast, MVP.
Shout out Jalen Hurts. Shout out that defense. Shout out that offensive line. Shout out pretty much everyone on that team besides Saquon for that game.
Facts.
And Saquon got him there, and then Jalen Hurts finished it. So
good distraction. Yeah,
great game.
Jalen Hurts, shout out Super Bowl MVP, 293 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Mahomes stats at the end of the game actually didn't look bad. 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. But he did have an 11.4 QBR, lowest he's had. And up until, 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, his stats looked pretty barren. Obviously, they had the 2 touchdowns to Xavier Worthy. Shout out Xavier Worthy.
Most gonna give it to you.
Most receiving yards, touchdowns, everything by a rookie in Super Bowl history.
150 some?
Yeah, he had...
I think it was
157, 8 receptions and 2 touchdowns. The next closest receiver on the Chiefs, by the way, was 39 yards. And Patrick Mahomes had 25 rushing yards. The next closest rusher to him, 9 yards with Kareem Hunt. So outside of Mahomes and Xavier Worthy, nothing going on the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I not to be too redundant with Ryan, but I think I completely agree. This game was such a Eagles line of scrimmage game where both sides of the ball, defense, they were giving Patrick Mahomes 0 time. It was actually pretty amazing. I haven't seen Patrick Mahomes make the kind of running mistakes where he ran into a line or just wasn't able to escape. Granted, it was against,
the best
5
in the country.
It's like 5 stars in GTA. You're not gonna get away very easily, but if you can get away from it, you're kind of you're just Timothy.
Yeah.
But again, their ability to get back there, they hit Mahomes with probably the hardest hit I've seen all year on that fumble in the fourth quarter. So
11 QB hits is crazy.
Unreal, especially when we're talking about Patrick Mahomes of all people. But again, on the flip side of it, Jalen Hurts had probably 12 seconds in the pocket every single time he wanted to throw the ball.
Yeah, they had 3 QB hits the whole game.
It was unreal. He could literally he could make a phone call, order a pizza, and then get back to your game while still the ball was in play and just chuck it up to whoever he wanted. That back shoulder kind of AJ Brown down the sideline pass is also a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Deadly weapon. But yeah, besides the running game for the Eagles, I think the line of scrimmage was absolutely dominated by them, and it won them the game very obviously.
To be honest, they carried a lot. I know Saquon's stats weren't insane. Hurts did carry 11 times for 72 yards. I know some of those are scrambles, so it's not all design runs up the middle. Felt like the Chiefs kind of sold out to say Saquon's not going to beat us, and Jalen Hurts is no problem. I got this one.
Yeah, I
What
did
you see in the game, Mario?
I saw Mahomes. I've never seen Mahomes in a game never be able to get settled, and it wasn't even due to the pressure. I've seen quarterbacks, take a bunch of hits and sacks and still be able to kind of, all right, this is going to be one of those rough games and kind of find their rhythm in a different way. Obviously, you have to go to plan B or plan C and kind of adjust. But it was like Mahomes just looked like his internal clock. You could tell everything was just moving fast. Yeah. I've never seen him repeatedly step into so many sacks. I've never seen him. Mike mentioned that. I've just everything like, and Brady kept talking about like his feet. He just like you could tell like he wasn't thinking about what's going on in the play. He was like concerned the second he got the ball, like how much time do I have? And he's just trying to get rid of it. And there are a few plays where he had more time than what he would make his decision, and either like trying to run outside the pocket, step up, or just settle, wait for a receiver to get open. So that was just strange. I've never seen Mahomes just get kind of rattled like that.
Yeah.
I know they always in every Super Bowl start off down 10. So starting off slow in the first half wasn't the biggest surprise. It was surprising that they were getting blown out like 24-0 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was never
halftime.
Unreal.
The fact that he was never able to bounce back was just weird. Like I've seen Joe Burrow get sacked 11 times and win like repeatedly. Like 9 against the Titans, 11 against, the round after against the Chiefs, and still like win games. Obviously like first half struggled and second half like find a way. It was just weird, like the Chiefs, Mahomes, Andy Reid, like they just none of them could figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because the Eagles didn't have their first blitz until late in the third quarter.
They barely blitzed.
They didn't need to.
I
They
feel
didn't
like
need to. No, just they're rushing forward. It's
That's
not
what-
like they don't do anything that hard schematically. It's just their players are that good.
I was going to say
it's
that's
kind of like Ohio State.
that makes it so much more deadly too. If you can get QB pressure without blitzing and have your top end corners and safeties just all sit back and watch the play and just make reads. And I totally agree. I think
Shout out Cooper DeJean.
again, I know we're going to talk specifically more about Mahomes in the next episode where we kind of analyze where does this put him all time? How do we look at him as a QB now? Is the GOAT conversation still ongoing? So stay tuned for that if you're interested. But I agree. I think the interceptions were things I'd never seen Mahomes do. Those are really, really, really costly picks. In his own territory, one was for a pick 6. So that definitely set him back. But I agree mostly with what you were saying about getting settled in. And I think it has a lot to do with the play calling too.
Yeah.
It's so this Chiefs team I hadn't seen, and granted we've been saying all season their offense didn't look spectacular.
No, the entire
Mahomes'
year
stats weren't really amazing.
They haven't
but
looked
They
convincing.
They hadn't done this.
No.
Dude, like 23 passing yards in the first half. Like this was so bad that they didn't even try to do anything spectacular. Like even the Xavier Worthy play at the end of the game. I know the Eagles already pulled some players. I know they already dumped the Gatorade on the coach. So I'm not reading too much into his ability to get open on that. But he's the fastest player in the NFL of all time. He ran the fastest 40-yard. They didn't even throw the ball downfield to him until the very end of the game.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
even if you can't do anything, it's 3rd and 13. Who cares?
Chuck
Throw a
it
straight.
up.
Mahomes has the best arm in the league. Throw a ball where he's throwing a dot to the fastest player in the NFL. Just try something. This is like the Chiefs are usually able to get these type of explosive plays, and cut out the last 4 minutes of the game. They literally didn't. And the last 4 minutes again, chalk. They're down 40-6 or whatever it was. So who really cares at that point? But I think a bigger picture thing, besides obviously the Eagles were just dominant. I don't want to take that
Better
away,
team.
saying
No,
that
they were by
the
far the
Chiefs,
better team.
it was the Chiefs' fault they lost. I think it was the Eagles' fault they won. I mean, their players were so dominant on all sides of the ball. Where it
both
was just
sides, yeah,
they were the
for
best
sure.
team this year. On the podcast specifically, we kind of discounted them throughout the season because they were in the NFC. And in hindsight, I guess that was a mistake because they might be just that much better than everyone else. They were so good in these playoffs. They really won most of their games this season by a pretty wide margin.
No, they did.
Dominated the Commanders and then
Very-
followed up with a even bigger domination of the Chiefs. So
Very balanced team. I was actually
yeah.
kind of happy to see this happen, though. Not for Mahomes, but the Chiefs team, because like you said, all year they haven't looked convincing. And it's kind of the Chiefs were similar to the Bills, where everything fell on Mahomes. Everything fell on Josh Allen. And if they're not Superman, if they're not perfect when they have to be perfect on like 2 drives in the fourth quarter, then they're not going to win games.
totally.
I thought all year the best teams, like roster wise, were NFC Eagles, AFC Ravens, just because of like they're a complete offense. This Chiefs, I mean, you said all year, like who do they have at receiver? Like Xavier Worthy was like okay, but he's a rookie. Kelsey's old.
Kelsey's
Smith.
I think Kelsey, we saw his last game.
That was his last game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
And that's kind of the last point I wanted to bring up here is that I think this is the first time in the Mahomes era the Chiefs actually are entering a rebuild season. They haven't done that.
Offensively, for sure.
Well,
I don't think so.
And you might see things on the defense. This offensive line, dude, they've been holding together for years, losing like one piece at a time and trying to draft or pick someone up and kind of put it together. They got dominated on the offensive line. Their defense,
Offensive line, though, is good for the Chiefs. They played
but
one.
I'm saying they got killed.
But
today.
the Eagles have done that to every team.
But you're going to need to beat the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I think you see multiple moves on the offensive line.
I think you need not like 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, 34-year-old Travis Kelce. Like I think
I'm getting to the rest of the players, but I'm saying I bet you see multiple moves on the offensive line. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they keep it. I don't think they do. I think they rebuild the offensive line.
Changes.
Yeah, I think you see out of the 5, I think at least 2 change. I think Travis Kelce's retiring. First time him and Mahomes haven't played together. They need to go get new players. Their receivers, I think they need to go get a top-end receiver because clearly the plug-and-play doesn't work against good secondaries.
I think if Rice is back. Yeah, if Rice is back.
We'll see. The running back play, and I know they've been able to do it in the past without running backs, and Pacheco is kind of healthy. He had 3 carries this game, not really. They might need to draft a running back. I think their offense looks completely different, and I wouldn't be surprised to see moves on the defense with all the salaries that are coming up. So I just think this is the first time in a while it's not plug and play same Chiefs team year over year, and they might have to go into a semi-rebuild, which we haven't seen with Mahomes because he inherited a really good team post Alex Smith, and since then they've just grown together. Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and then Tyreek left. They kind of plugged and play and filled the gaps for a couple years.
Always had good defenders.
Yeah, almost always had the same offensive line, so older line. Yeah. So
that's another thing is, they were kind of riddled with injuries throughout the game too. Chris Jones was getting hurt pretty early on.
These players
came back the next play. He came back, but he
played the whole game.
So was it just nothing?
Yeah, it was his knee brace just needed to fix. Oh. But I do think their team is getting a lot older. And it's not to kind of, they're in no way similar to the Steelers, but when we talk about certain teams that have had really good aspects of their team for such a long time, and grant the Steelers totally missed their window, I think, with their defense, but the Chiefs totally capitalized to the max on this team. But it's starting to look like, to me, and it looked like this the entire season, to be honest, when they weren't that dominant. I was like, this just feels like they're barely holding it together. Yeah. And I think the train might have fallen a little off the tracks in this game, and you'll see a player or two retire, not only on offense, but maybe on defense too, and then they need to start filling some of the other gaps. So that's just what I thought about this.
Really quick.
They won 15 games and beat an MVP, the reigning MVP.
Totally. No, I felt that's what I'm saying. They were like holding it together. And I know we've talked ad nauseum about how they won the games to get here. I think the refs played a large part in not only some of the regular season wins. I know they had 7 games this season, or was it 11 games? It was something decided by one score, and they won all of them.
I think it was like 7.
Yeah, it was 7 or 11 games, and then the playoff games were the same way. And it's not like the Chiefs. When the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl, they get blown out, and when they win by 2 or 1. So for them, this is a similar fashion-ish to how they lost to the
Bucks. What I was going to ask really quick is, obviously this isn't a scenario because no team is ever really constrained, but if you were like a GM of the Chiefs, would you rather push harder for a defense? Because exactly like you said, even during the regular season, they were allowing a lot of points from the other team so that they were in situations where they're only
their defense is pretty good, I thought. Yeah, their offense didn't really score that many this season. Those Mahomes stats this year compared to other seasons were much.
Think about it, they only averaged scoring like 24 points a game or something, the Chiefs offense, and they won 15 games. So their defense wasn't giving up tons of points.
So you would rather them in the offseason be making pushes to improve their offense rather than their defense?
They're going to need someone to catch the ball.
I was going to say, I think if Kelce retires, that's a big hit, not necessarily offensively from a production standpoint, but just because of like the chemistry he has with Mahomes.
And he takes eyes from the defense.
Exactly. Like he's always going to pull eyes when he's running a route. He's smart. He knows how to change his route mid-route. A lot of his routes, like him and Travis like openly say, like it's kind of just like an option route. Like he just reads the defense because he's so like
Brady and Gronk. Same thing.
No, same thing. He just reads and he goes, oh, okay, I know my guy's running a rub route. I'm going to bust this out here, get my guy open. If they all bail on him, you know what I mean? Like you lose a weapon like that, that creates so much for this offense. I think that's going to be a big.
I know you were
loss.
talking about Rashee Rice, Ryan. Do you think, and we can kind of end on this because I know this is kind of forward looking at this point rather than Super Bowl recap, but it's kind of hard not to when you see the Chiefs get thrown around like this, and we're not used to seeing this. They were Super Bowl champions for I think 725 days or something crazy.
Kind of goes panic.
Do you think an offense without Travis Kelce with just Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy 1 and 2, is that enough for Mahomes, or you think they need to actually go out and get a piece, whether that's drafting a Tyler Warren, somehow making a draft day trade, or then like
back
or getting or a running back? Yeah, is that
Trade for
offense
Brock
enough
Bowers.
with Mahomes?
Well, I think they're going to draft regardless of like a deep. I'm not talking about going up. You could draft a deep running back or deep tight end, third, fourth, fifth.
That's what I'm
round.
saying. Do you think?
I don't think you need a first rounder
without making a move.
Tyler Warren's going to be a first rounder. I don't think you need Tyler Warren.
Okay.
I think you're fine with just doing your normal draft, fixing a couple pieces in the offensive line. I know there were some injuries this year, and then I mean they got to the Super Bowl. They beat good teams. They do what they do. Patrick Mahomes is going to be better. He has more share of his career. I don't think it's going to be this bad. I think something clicked in his brain. It was more of the comfortability of getting to this game, and this is all that mattered. Now I think it's going to be a click of like, I'm back to my normal self. Kelsey being gone, I think helps them a lot. I think there's so much more to this offense and so much like force feeding sometimes where it slows down the rest of the offense. Even a couple plays in the Super Bowl where it's quick passes to Kelsey. And as soon as that was off, you see Kelsey's demeanor. Mahomes, it just feels weird to me. Rice is unbelievable in my opinion over the middle and Worthy deep. If they just get one even just mediocre guy like they've done the past couple years and get a tight end in their class, or I think they'll be fine. I think the biggest part of this game that all that matters is the reason why I never thought the Eagles were real Super Bowl contenders was I watched every game Saquon do everything. Everything for every single game. Every playoff game, 180 yards, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I knew in this game, on everything I had, that Saquon wasn't going to do anything. And I've yet to see Jalen Hurts do the perfect. Yeah. Like literally out of the pocket, getting blitzed, perfect throws. And he did it. Simple as that.
5 incomplete passes.
And no one normally does that. No, like in big games, you normally aren't that perfect.
Looked easy for him.
Like it was almost like a joke.
Passes, or even his legs were so effective.
That's what I'm saying. So
Everything.
like, I just think this team, I don't think the Chiefs need to freak out or do anything crazy or rebuild or anything. Fix the small holes, whether it is offensive line, contracts on the defensive end. Kelsey needs to retire, in my opinion, like 100%. Like start. Mahomes is 29, going on 30. He's got 10 more years of being good, in my opinion. Start building him another connection immediately as fast as possible. And Andy Reid, this is on Andy Reid and Mahomes. No one else. The defense, I don't give a crap about anyone else. There's Andy Reid and Mahomes. Andy Reid got out-coached and out-game planned, and Mahomes just had the worst game of his life. So they need to look in the mirror. I think the rest of the team did a great job the whole year.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see what happens. Eagles, I think this new whole, it's going to feel Eagles-Chiefs, in my opinion, for a long time. The team is young.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That defense is young.
I know the Niners are coming back, which will be fun. But
and they got Jalen Hurts on that.
Hey, shout out the Eagles, though, for stopping another three-peat.
Congrats.
Appreciate you.
3 times in the last 8 years?
Yep.
Respect.
Yeah, we'll take it. Well, let us know what you think about the Super Bowl. Were you happy the Eagles won? What could the Chiefs have done differently? And then what do these teams look like going forward? We're going to be talking about it a lot in the offseason and debating where Mahomes stands now in the all-time rankings. So stay locked in with us. Drop a subscribe if you're not already. And, that was a good NFL season, boys.
Yep.
We covered everything.
Another one in the books.
There you have it.
Tyler's watching football next year.
Yeah, I get to watch football. Chiefs didn't 3-peat. I'm staying in the NFL.
What a dub.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.